Welcome back to the pathetic news coverage of the Here We Go feature, covering all the latest news on upcoming Ork releases. We've seen extra speedy doctors and squig riding monster slayers over the past few weeks. Now it's time to give you a first look at the rules coming alongside these models. It's well known by now that orks are mind-bogglingly tough creatures, able to shrug off wounds that would turn a human into a fine mist and even threaten one of those angels of death. Until now, however, their appearance on the tabletop hasn't quite matched up to the kinds of creatures that can survive a complete decapitation and come back for another go. That's all about to change in the upcoming codex, Orks. That's right, Toughness 5. In fact, many varieties of Ork throughout the codex are seeing an extra point of toughness added to their profile. Yes, even Gretchen. It looks like the Greenskins are finally living up to the terrifying reputation they have for charging headlong into clouds of gunfire and coming hollering out the other side. Speaking of Ork physiology, we mentioned during our previous look at the snagger boys that they're a good bit bigger and stronger than their fellow boys, largely due to all the time they spend wrangling ferocious squig beasts. All that extra muscle is sure to give them an easier time hacking through some particularly tough monsters and vehicles, and perhaps a heavily armored space marine or two. All of the scar tissue and crude bionics an average beast snagger accumulates over the course of their usually quite short life have their upsides too, as the chances of an incoming bullet or chainsword hitting something the ork needs to function are even lower than usual. Both of these units carry their trusty Ork Choppas into battle, an eclectic variety of crude melee weapons that greenskins of all kinds enthusiastically split all manner of enemies in two with. Veteran players may remember these weapons being particularly effective at piercing thick armor, and the Choppas are returning to form in the new codex. Who exactly will be carrying the Ooge chopper into battle, you ask? Well, you might remember a certain thickly armored gentleman from Warhammer Fest Online having to hold his in both hands. Will you be forming a green tide of upgraded Ork boys in your next army? Or will their beast snagger kin be taking over and leading the war to victory? Let us know on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Or don't! I really couldn't care less. Join us next time as we return to the Snakebite clan to learn the truth behind one of their living legends. Goodbye!
Hello, Sydney here. Welcome to the Drunken Ork. The Drunken Toughness 5 Ork. That was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? Was it? I thought it was. Anyway, we're going to have a look at the article in a bit more detail. You've seen pathetic news, so that's covered it, but let's actually try and break it down a bit and see what that could mean to us. Before we do though, please hit like and subscribe and give a bell a little tickle, just so you don't miss out in the future. Orks are some of the toughest creatures in the galaxy. Now, we've got the stats to prove it. 140,000, here we go. Right lads, we're just about ready to launch this war, and I want all the biggies and knife-ears and oomies to know just why we're the biggest and the strongest. Yeah, it's 'cause we's orks, but they don't know why green is best, see? Oi, oomies, tell them gits why we're gonna crump them good. Now I just read that in my own voice, so I'd be interested to hear from people outside of the UK if that sounds like an ork voice or just, me reading it. Because I've been told that all people from the UK sound like orks, which is a little bit disturbing, because we all know it's just Essex boys. The channel, although to be fair, also people from Essex. And welcome back to our Here We Go regular feature, looking at a host of new releases for Orks that are coming soon. We've seen extra speedy doctors, squig riding monster slayers over the past few weeks. Now it's time to give you a first look at the rules coming alongside these models. Orks are tough. Yes, they are tough. We all know that. Heads coming off, being stitched back on, arms coming off, stitched back on. Why not just bolt an axe into it instead? I think I will, thanks very much. Want to get infected and might not die in the surgery? No, you'll not. You're an ork. Shut up. So there's no need for that little worry. And yeah, no, it hasn't quite matched up on the tabletop, has it? So there we go. Ork boys. Well, a cursory glance would show that the change is that the toughness is going up by 1, and that's it. I say that's it. I don't mean that to sound sort of, dismissive. Toughness 5 is pretty good. It makes a big change to toughness 4 and 5 weapons. 4's only wounded now on 5 pluses, and toughness 5 weapons like heavy bolters and what have you needing a 4 as opposed to the previous 3. Doesn't have a lot of effect on the toughness 3 weapons. Even toughness 2 weapons still require the same numbers as do toughness 1 weapons, if there is any. I suppose the toughness 8 and 9 now require 3s instead of the 2s they used to. Pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's a good change. Still only the 1 wound. Okay, fair enough. If Boyz stay at 8 points, I think that's fantastic. If they go up, the dog barking. If they go up to 10 points, God forbid, or even 9 for that matter, any increase at all, I'm going to be going, I don't like that. Toughness 5 is pretty good. I'd be happy with that. If they stay at 8 points, an increase or I don't know. It's not the only change though. It wasn't just toughness 5, but we'll get the other change in a moment. So that's right, yeah, toughness 5. In fact, many varieties of Orks throughout the codex are seeing an extra point of toughness added to their profile. Yes, even Gretchen. So Gretchen will be going from 2 to 3. Wow! Sorry. Well, with 5 points. And looks like they're finally living up to the terrifying reputation of having charging headlong, blah, 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 blah. Speaking of Ork physiology, yep, they mentioned Beast Snagger Boyz are going to be a bit stronger than the fellow Boyz. Yep, well, we know that. So there's their profile. Looking at that, compared to the basic boy we've just seen, it's the same, except for an extra point of strength, which puts them on par with, if we still have them, Scar Boyz, which is pretty good for all involved. I mean, it made us think of Scar Boyz for a start. If you're running a unit of Goths, look at Chopper Boys, and you spend the CP putting the Scar Boyz, if this is still a stratagem in a new codex, of course, yeah, strength and toughness 5, tasty, very, very tasty. They get a couple of extra rules as well. Gnawed bodies of the beast snaggers are especially hard to damage. Any vulnerable parts have long since been coated in scar tissue or bionic replacements. Okay, so it basically gives every model in the unit a 6+ invulnerable save. And of course it also states that each time a model with this ability makes an attack that targets a vehicle or monster, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Pretty good. Hitting on 2s in combat and hitting on 4s with shooting. Yeah, it's good to be able to hit on 4s. If you only got sluggers, it's wick. If they've got some kind of, since they look like be taking on vehicles or monsters, if they've got something in line with a tank buster bomb, and that might be quite good, but there's nothing really to suggest that they will. It's a common bit of equipment in all other Boyz units, but beast snaggers, who knows, we'll find out. But it'd be nice to be able to hit with that. Especially if you could run that grenade, more stick bombs, whatever it's called. That'll be awesome. But again, will it be in the new codex? Will they even have it in the first place? Conjecture. But yeah, the invul's decent. It's not much more than that. I think a 6+ invul. I've played a lot of Death Skulls, and I'm never bowled over by their 6+ invul. I don't think it's as effective as it seems like a last ditch thing, and you've at least got something, but it rarely comes out for me. But Beast Snaggers having it, okay. Now you can use Beast Snaggers in a number of clans, as we know, so you might be able to use them with the Death Skulls. Now we don't know if the Death Skulls are keeping that 6+ invul in the new codex, but if they are, or even if another clan picks it up, Snakebites might pick it up, because let's face it, the Feel No Pain is not the best. It's not the best. Would that give Beast Snaggers in those clans a 5+ invul? or would it just give them the flat 6+? Again, talking conjecture here, so we don't really know. But that, yeah, it's something. It's something, but it's not going to be something I'm going to rush to them because of that. Although a 5+ would be pretty sweet, to be fair. Yeah, but that +1 to hit against their vehicles and monsters and shooting, we don't know what that special gun that the beast snagger had. We don't know what that does. It's going to make those the actual Squig Hog boys, if they've hitting hard, and they've got bomb squigs, we know that, or similar, and they've got that little grot had a gun which shot squigs out, which might do something. But if they're going to get that +1 to hit as well, that's going to make them pretty tasty. But the boys themselves, the shooting's not going to do much against vehicles and monsters if we've just got sluggers. We don't know what that like big caliber grenade launcher, blunderbuss type thing was. It's got a solid shell, so probably grenade launcher. We don't know what that's going to do yet, but they're going to have to rely more so on thought and combat, which is good because the Choppas had an upgrade back to -1 AP. Now this is better, and this pretty much puts it on par with an Astartes chainsword. Strength user 4 or 5 would be snaggers or scarboys. -1 AP, 1 damage. Only 1 damage, but you still get the additional attack for using it. We don't know if we're still going to get the +1 attack for having 20 boys or more in a mob. I would hope so. So there might still be ways to get 4 or 5 attacks. I think there's a way to get 6 attacks out of them each, I think. But I think it's, you know, spells and all that sort of stuff. But it's still pretty good. Now, if a Choppa's given -1 AP, is a Shoota going to give -1 AP? Personally, I don't think it should. Because I don't see a Shoota as a high performance weapon. It's a noise maker primarily, you know what I mean? Which means that when you've got the 2 loadouts for the boys, and you've got a Shoota and a chopper, well, slugger chopper combination, the advantage to the Shoota is an extra shot and an extra 6 inches on the range, whereas to the chopper you've got an extra attack. I suppose you've got a pistol you can use in combat, but you know. And if now you've got -1 AP, I think they might have to give the AP to the Shoota as well, or have the boys at different costs. Have a slugger chopper might actually increase in cost, but the Shoota boys might not, or at least not by the same, same amount. They might even come down. They'll not, but that's quite interesting. So yeah, the big chopper stayed exactly the same. Strength +2, -1 AP, 2 damage. I think it's a cracking option on the budget, just so you know the knob in the squad has got some kind of melee prowess. You can chop down marines quite happily with that on a budget. The huge chopper, strength +3, -3 AP, 2 damage. It's not bad. I mean, compare that to a power claw. Right, strength +3. So on a war boss, you're going to be looking at an overall strength of 9 as opposed to 12. Now, when you're getting anything with a toughness 5 or above, that's going to start telling. -3 AP, same as a power claw. Not as good as a kill saw, just -4. Damage 2, same as a kill saw. Again, different to a power claw. The power claw's got the D3, so you know, swingy. Do you know what it is? If it was cheaper than a power claw or kill saw, I'd quite happily take one. I'd take a risk with that strength, depending on what I was fighting. But with it being the same as those, which I'm sure it will be, because the big chopper's 5 and the power claw's 10, unless of course that changes again in the codex. But if it is the same as them, I think the power claw's going to win out. Unless the huge chopper comes with some sort of relic, because I mean, you take a power claw 9 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, over the kill saw normally, because you've got the killer claw. So if there's a relic Uji Chopper, then fair enough, that might swing it. Other than that, though,
so there you go.
yeah, it's not bad.
Will you be from the green tide of upgraded Ork boys in your next army, or will there be snagger kin be taken over? Well, you know what? I'll be sticking with the boys. And I think the fact that the boys have had a profile change, and the fact that they're using a picture of a in fact, that Ork's legally entitled to drink in the United States of America. He's over 21 years old. And, they're still showing him off. Then, yeah, I think boys are sticking around for a bit. So all in all there, yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I'm buoyed. In fact, yeah, I'm really pleased with that, to be fair. I still don't think they're very robust, but they're certainly more robust. Strength 4 attacks, which, let's face it, are the majority of, what you'd normally direct against boys. It's going to make a big difference. They're basically about 50% tougher against strength 4 attacks. And the strength 5 attacks are in there as well, so the heavyweight anti-infantry weapons will still wound them on a 4, but it'll not wound them on a 3 anymore, so that's got to be a good thing. And I think that -1 AP on the chopper is going to make them cracking in close combat. Like the melee. If not cracking, it's going to make them better. A lot better. And when you're putting in a lot of attacks, yeah, I think weight and numbers will overpower most units. It's something I'm going to be doing. I've got 2 Ork Goth knobs painted up. I'm going to do a 3rd and then another 27 slugger chopper boys. And yeah, I need to get those sorted sharpish because, it just needs doing. Because I need to be running this. I need 30 Goths in there at least, and maybe after that I might do another 30. Probably not. But yeah, that's it's pretty good. I'm liking this. I'm liking this, and hopefully I've covered most of the things there. If you've got any thoughts, please leave them in the comments. And until next time, take care. I'll see you later.